So today is not the day I make long speeches, not the day that I advance new ideas. Mine is to create the opportunity for others who have ideas to put them forward before the Nigerian people, and for those of us who care for this country to digest those ideas and see what we can make out of it for the future of this country. Because it is clear that our country, at the beginning of the second decade of the 21st century, is in trouble. And one of the troubles, I suggest, is because we went through a tempestuous period that led to the war and after the war. As a biologist, I know the human brain is constructed to take information immediately. But it is when you sleep and reflect that is when you have not only a effervescent memory, but memory that can now endure, you can use in planning. So, the brain is meant to reflect, and Nigerians have never reflected on their past history since the beginning of the independence period. This is the first opportunity for us to do so, and I would therefore want those who have new ideas to advance them. But I will make 3 points. First is that our situation is not unique. Other countries have gone through this, and we should learn from their lessons. For example, some historians suggest that because of the reparations and other, quote, injustices that the Germans thought were imposed on them as a result of the First World War, that was why they prepared for the Second World War. And that was why the Second World War, the horrendous war that it was, came to be. In other words, justice for all is an important principle if you want to build an enduring nation. The second point I want to make is that this conference we are holding now should have held maybe 40 years ago, maybe 30 years ago. So we are really late in having this conference. But it's better late than never. Nigerians have to reflect on the road we have passed. For example, the proposition can be made that we went to war because there was a failure of leadership. And in saying that, I will remind us that the 3 regions were really doing very well before the katakata began. Take the Eastern Nigeria, which I'm a bit more familiar with. Some work by some economists at the Michigan State University at that time said Eastern Nigeria was the fastest growing and industrializing economy in the world. I didn't say in Africa. It is not usual for those who are benefiting from a situation to go to war to lose everything that they had. So there must have been a reason. Because it looks foolish if you were so comfortable in Nigeria, despite its wars and all, to just put everything into the balance and go to war. The war is not a little child, it's not children playing, it's serious business. When you go to war, you either win or lose. And if you lose everything. So when we talk about marginalization and so on, we should go back to the roots of where our failures began from. The second point I want to make is a simple one. Germany fought the World War and lost. Japan fought the World War and lost. But in less than 30 years after that war, Germany was the leading economy in Europe, stronger than the economies of the winners. Japan was the second largest economy after the United States until the miracle of China started. In other words, losing a war does not necessarily give you a badge of failure. If you do your homework well and you help create an environment in which there is no winner, no victor, no vanquished, as General Gowon said, then by now we would have had many centers that would have been driving this economy, that would have been driving this society, and we wouldn't be where we are. But we have not learned lessons from our own past, and we have not learned lessons from the experience of others. Let us therefore hope that we will live here wiser and more determined. I realize that the kind of challenge we now have in Nigeria, in some ways, not anticipated. It is not usual, as Banji Akintoye in his speech has alluded, that you start running a country as if there is not a national program enjoyed by others, but a minority program, a minority agenda. Of course, good words are not sufficient. What you do is what says what should happen. But one thing I need to say is that despite all the provocations from east, west, north, and south, let Nigerians eschew violence. Violence will not provide the answer to the Nigeria we want to build. However much you may feel provoked, non-violent engagement is a recommended way. As the good old book says, those who wield the sword usually die by the sword. This is a new decade. This is a new year. Nigeria will definitely move in the right direction sooner than we realize. Thank you very much.